Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. And it always amazes me when I can find something new in something old. And we're gonna look at this guy today. It is my Generation 1, my vintage Ultra Magnus. And this is not one that I've gotten as an adult collector. This is not a reissue. This is the one that I had when I was a kid. And recently, I was looking at some of the history of the character and discovered that there were documented modes that this guy didn't have in his instructions that I never even knew existed. Now I'm sure that some people watching this already know that they exist, and probably some people don't. So stick around, we're going to look at everything to do with this guy. I'm going to compare him with, really quickly, with a figure that was one of my absolute top picks for 2015, and a figure that I've already reviewed. But we're going to get to all of that as we take a little step back in time and look at what was one of my absolute favorite figures in the latest GotBot True review. Okay folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot, and I'm glad to see you here again. Please, by all means, check me out everywhere. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Everything Factor Machinery Man, and this is G1 Ultra Magnus. It is the figure that's based on the Diaclone Powered Convoy, which was the toy that would become Optimus Prime, and I did have that glorious G1 Optimus Prime. You want proof? Here's proof. Here's the trailer. It's seen better days. I could open it, but one of the sides is cracked. And the repair bay arm is broken inside. And, well, roller's missing. And the back is off. But this was the trailer to that one. So I'll take that out of it again for a second. And we ended up getting a new trailer. And we got this guy, and he's one of the most beloved characters of G1, and I didn't realize that this toy could do as much as it can do. First things first, you can take the trailer off. So we're going to take the trailer out of it for just a second, and we're left with this. Now, one of my smokestacks up here has broken off over the years, and I'm not going to pretend that the paint is perfect, because it is not. And of course, like I said, this is the mold that was Optimus Prime, and you would have taken Optimus Prime's trailer if this was the Big Bot himself, and I guess it would have went down over like that, and you would have had, you know, a full-fledged Optimus Prime. Now, why don't I have Optimus here? Well, I'll explain that as I take a look at this guy. I was apparently very fortunate. I remember other people having him as a kid, and they never had windows in the front or on the sides, the kind of yellowy windows that I have there. That's not discoloration, that's the color that they were, though a lot of my chrome has worn off. And my tires are rubber. A lot of people had plastic tires. I've learned that that was a running change, and I guess I was fortunate that I managed to get, as a kid, one of the early versions of this toy. And to transform him, it was pretty simple. I think we all know it, where you bring down the legs and bring them out, bring out the toes, you pull the arms out from the side and pull the arms out and bring that down, and the head came up over, and there were a couple of fists that you could hide in his chest, and you would put a fist in here. As I said, the paint is rough on this guy. He is definitely old. And you would put the fist in here, and this was Optimus Prime, and the white version was Ultra Magnus. Some people said it was the ghost or spirit of Optimus Prime. If we were doing an Optimus Prime review, I'd say, hey, his head can kind of go up and down a little bit if you use this flap. I would say his knees could bend 90 degrees, and they can go all the way back, cannot go forward at all. The arm can go all the way around on a beautiful ratchet. nice 90-degree elbow bend, bicep swivel, and even, I guess you could say, wrist swivel. He had a lot of articulation for the time that he came out, to be perfectly honest with you. He was pretty hollow back though. I mean, people complain about hollowness. Guys, it's not a new thing. It's been around forever. If this was Optimus Prime and he had the colors and, you know, I had the trailer and whatnot, he'd be a 10. He is an absolute classic. And this version has inspired things like a Masterpiece version and other incarnations of Ultra Magnus where he looks like this. But the animation had him automatically paired with his trailer to be a bigger robot. So we're just going to put this guy back really quickly. And you put those in. And the nice thing about these is that the transformations are so quick and easy. I never understood why they took the plastic glass, I guess, out of the front here. All that would have happened is the fists would fall out. No, I'm glad I got the version I did. So we'll put him back down, and we will take his trailer and put that back on. There's a little hole right here that goes over the peg down here. That's how you're supposed to hook him on. Of course, it doesn't always like to do it easily. But this is what he looked like in his truck mode. And we have things like the Masterpiece, which is beautiful. And I think in terms of accessibility for fans, here is the updated Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus, who does look smaller in truck mode. But you can see the, I guess the inspiration. You know, I mean, if you push that guy up a bit and take this guy back a bit, oh, he's really back too far. You could see that, you know, the blue, the blue, the blue, the blue. You could see the white shins. There's even a red sticker here. You'll see that a little bit later, like the little red pieces that are paint apps. You'll notice I don't have the shoulder cannons here because guess what? I lost them. And of course the white cab. So we're going to take this guy out of it. Now I've said this guy could do a lot more than I knew that he could do. First things first, he has 3 modes that were not in the instructions for him, but they were in the instructions for the toy that he is based on. The first is basically angling the arms up like this as a, I guess like a runway for jets. I've seen him with Starscream up there. I've seen him with, or the toy that would become Starscream, and I've seen him with Silverbolt up there. So that's number 1. And if you're curious whether or not the Combiner Wars version can, I guess, do that mode, sure it can. Yeah, it can do the exact same mode, which is kind of cool. I mean, undocumented on both, and yet it can do it. Again, taking him out of it. The next mode. Okay, so see if I can do this. We're gonna just take the cab out of it for now, and the next one, I guess you would call it a base mode. That's the only thing I could think of to really call it, would be a base mode. And how exactly do I do this? I guess I'll start with taking these flaps and pulling them down, and his fists come out as well as his head, because I mean, you know, G1, he's a bit of a parts former. I mean, you know, it is what it is. You basically take this guy and you split the arms. And you split the arms here, just like this, and those arms went back together. And they come down around. I guess I can also take his gun out of it. And I'm even going to take off this piece. For the longest time, I always wondered why his little chest plane thing could come off. There is a reason for it. So we do that. And we knock the head on the floor of Ultra Magnus. So you know that's always good times right there. He's basically going to go turned around this way, and we're going to take this and take this, and we're going to put those basically down. And apparently, I should be able to, like, I didn't even know that Ultra Magnus had a bicep swivel until right now. I've never ever done this before, folks. This is the absolute first. And these are supposed to stay up, though. This one flaps down. And you would take the little jet piece, and there's a little, I guess we'll call it a tab up top, and there's a hole in the head of the large robot piece, and apparently that can go on over and attach like that, and it goes right there. That is a base mode. If you wanted to include the cab is usually just shown here coming out. That's a base mode. Little did I ever realize, and I don't know, maybe you did. And there is one other mode. I think it's kind of cool that he had an undocumented base mode. And it might be a bit of a stretch for base, but still, I think it's kind of cool personally. I really do think that it sort of works. So the last one is, I guess we'll call it, I think it's called a base, but I think I would tend to call it more of a repair station than I would anything else. And to do that, we'll take this piece out of it again. We're going to stand him up. And I'm going to have to adjust the camera here. And now I need to adjust the arms of this guy. Okay, so we've got him up. We've got him up, and this arm goes all the way up, and it should push in here as well. And normally where his fist goes, that's where you would actually end up putting a one of his, I guess, shoulder pieces. Unfortunately, I can't show that because I don't have that. Then we come to the other arm, and the other arm actually, does the other arm actually flip back, or does it stay out? It might stay out as well. You push this piece up, you bring it up and around, you push this piece down, you turn it around, and he's like this. You can even take this piece, and the head was attached with facing the same direction. Now you turn it around so that the head's facing the other direction. And unbeknownst to me, there's a couple of little pegs here that this can actually slot down over to lock it in place, and boom, there you go. There is the other base mode, with the idea being that it's a repair bay, and Ultra Magnus, I guess, could be in right here. I had no idea that he was able to do that. And if you didn't, well, now you do. I think that improves the score for this guy. You know, how can it not? He has more modes. The guy has like 4 modes. That's awesome. But let's put him in the mode that we all know and love him. That means taking this piece off, putting the arms down and turning them appropriately, and placing the plain piece there. And if you had that little white piece back here so that the cab could hook into the trailer, take that off now, and it comes out around front and it pegs on down bottom here. It's like a waist piece, like a belt. We're still missing pieces though, aren't we? Well, he came with this beautiful Magnus-y gun, and I'm going to tell you now, I really wish that the Combiner Wars one would come with a version that was this color. And you can just put that into his hand. There's two pegs on it, so it can actually go in the hand of the smaller robot or the bigger one. We will put a fist there, we have another fist, and we will put that one over here. And the last piece concerns the cab. And with the, keep hitting that, with the cab, all you do is you put the legs straight down. When you basically place this guy in, the easiest way to guide him is to use the two holes where headlights should be, and they go on over two pegs back here. But before we do that, we actually are going to have to open up his arms just enough to flip his head out. So I just opened up his arms and I flipped his head out so that he looks like this. And we take him in behind. And we turn those hands out of the way. And we angle him on like that. And he almost looks like Ultra Magnus now. Except he needs this, his head. And this is another thing. Mine has the rubber tires. It has those window pieces. And his face is painted silver, and his ear pieces, antenna, they're painted silver. I saw a lot where the whole head was just blue. That would have driven me nuts. And here he is in all his glory. As far as looking like the Ultra Magnus that we all know and love, this I think is more what we remember. Granted, my stickers are in kind of rough shape, like that Autobot symbol up there. But the paint was good compared to the animation. It still wasn't a 10, even though I know that a lot of people would argue that, hey, he came first. But I think we always make those comparisons. And with this guy, the red thighs drove me bonkers. I did not like it. I loved the, well, his head didn't move. I loved the articulation of the arms, able to go all the way around. You had a nice 90-degree elbow bend, and apparently you have a bicep swivel. Who knew? Who knew? And while his legs are static, I mean, he doesn't have any waist articulation, legs don't move forward or backward, he does not have knees or ankle tilts, he can roll, and that's kind of cool. I loved him. I did. He was big, he was impressive, and I absolutely loved the guy. For posability, playability, he was great to play with, but the posing was pretty limited. So, again, at the time it was good that his arms could move as much as they did. Nowadays, let's be honest, it wouldn't score very high. And his transformation, super duper easy. I went to all of those modes, and none of them are particularly hard. His transformation is like a 10. Naturally, he's a bit of a parts former, but, well, I guess I'll say it's a 9, because it depends on your problem with the parts former thing. But this is still the basis that everything else has been measured by. So we're going to look at him now, again, really quickly, with his updated version, and see where the inspiration came from. And, I guess, moving him slightly out of the way. Boom. There is the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus. And let's see here if we can get a little bit closer with these guys. And you can see the influences. A lot of people have said that for animation accuracy, the blue on him should have been a bit darker. Maybe it should have, but you know what? I'm okay with the blue on him because it's pretty close to the blue that was on the figure. Would I have liked for it to be a bit darker? Sure. Do I think it's darker in the Platinum Edition Hero set? Yeah, probably. That's my understanding anyway, but you know what? This is the version of Ultra Magnus that I always wanted as a kid. Why? Because, first of all, it has white thighs like the animation. I love that. He has, you know, the articulation out, and he has the knee and the thigh swivel, you know, he has the legs that this guy lacked. Besides that, they're pretty comparable. I also like the face sculpt on the Combiner Wars one. This is why I like this line, folks. This is why I like the Generations line, because, and I've said this before, it's giving us the toys that should really remind us of what it was that we grew up with. And as awesome and fantastic as this was, this is what I had always hoped for. And now as a collector, many years later, when technology has advanced, we're finally getting it. So I'll take him out of it. What can I say in the end about G1 Ultra Magnus? He's a classic, and he is still beautiful, and like I said, all these years later, you still live to surprise me, don't you, Ultra Magnus? Anyway, that's it, folks. Thanks for having a quick look at this guy with me. He is one of the ones that sparked my love of, of Transformers as a kid, that has stuck with me my entire life. I thank you for dropping by. Thank you for giving me a little bit of your time. It is very, very much appreciated. And of course, I look forward to the next time that you and I get together for another visit, right here, inside the videos.